my name is Scylla, and today I'm going to be answering a pretty scary question, being if my wardrobe was suddenly gone and I had to start over from scratch. What would I do? Would I do it differently than I did before? It's a question I've seen thrown around for like the last few years, so I thought that I would finally take a moment to actually think about it myself and give my little 2 cents. Now, before I start, I do want to be clear that this is not a beginner's guide on how to become a Lolita. I think everyone has their own different journey to take because they need to figure out what works for them. My personal preferences are not gonna necessarily match up and align with someone else's, and that is okay. That being said, if you happen to take anything that I say as a tip and you want to run with it, awesome, feel free to do so. So with that out of the way, my wardrobe is gone. I don't have anything, not a single Lolita related thing. Number 1, my first step is to immediately get a petticoat before anything else. My first choice would automatically be Aurora and Ariel because I think that they are the most affordable, and they come in both big puffy sizes and also a more minimal size for less poof, more naturalness, but still, you know, keeping that Lolita silhouette and last quite some time. I've yet to have mine die on me. So are there better ones? Yes, but at a higher cost. So for me, just starting over, again, I'm gonna try and pay as little as possible to get as much as I can. So number 2, I would start practicing different styles on my own natural hair. I wear wigs in videos because I love them and I think that they're really fun, but realistically, they're just not really practical when trying to build up a wardrobe. I'd rather not think about how much money I've spent on wigs when I could have purchased dresses. That being said, I do feel very insecure sometimes using my own hair, especially when it's unstyled because it's frizzy and it's just very, I have that confusing hair that's like straight at the top, wavy in the middle, and then curly down at the bottom, like the base of the neck. So I have to be very, very particular about how I style it. And honestly, if I were planning to wear Lolita, I would probably end up cutting my hair because I'm gonna go ahead and reference this old video that I did where I put together a cord for under $100. I was using curlers, but it's a very specific type, but it worked for what I needed it for. Once my hair started growing past that point, it was just not, it wasn't gonna happen. So for number 3, I'm finally gonna talk about main pieces, and honestly, I would shop exclusively on Lace Market and Mercari. Yeah, if I had to start over again, I would not buy anything brand new, at least not from an official brand store. If you've seen my wardrobe tour, you might know that I have a few more popular prints, but I am a very, very, very cheap Lolita. When I go hunting for stuff, I check by my location, followed by lowest price available first. And I feel like because I've been patient, I've gotten really lucky and found some really good affordable stuff on Lace Market and Mercari especially. For things like blouses and bags and socks, head pieces, Mercari is really, really great for that. It's just a matter of finding the right shopping service. I use HoYoYo, I think is what it is myself, if I haven't mentioned that yet. But in addition to this, I would probably start focusing on a theme. If you're starting out wearing gothic Lolita, it can be really easy to mix and match items. If you're classic, it really depends on like what kind of colors you lean towards. And then if you want sweet Lolita, again, that really depends because sweet covers primarily pastels, but it also covers things like reds and browns and potentially even black. So I think having a color scheme to start out with is super important. So I would start out with white, light blue, and pink because those are my favorite colors. And then slowly I would probably start adding in other pastel colors. Like if I get a dress that's like primarily blue but it has some yellow on it, that opens the door to me getting yellow. Fourth thing is I would definitely constantly have my eye out for off-brand items. Earrings or smaller bows, pearl bracelets, tights, especially tights. These are things that I would be on the lookout for all the time, anytime I go anywhere. Even bags if possible. Places like Shein or AliExpress, Amazon, eBay, Walmart, Target, Ross, Forever 21, thrift store, dollar store, potentially even Hot Topic. Of course, not everything works for Lolita specifically, but after wearing the clothes, you really start to get an idea for what does work. So it becomes a lot easier to find those things. And I think it's very important because I feel like it's the smaller little accessories that can really help bring a cord to life. Not always, of course. I'm not saying that you have to have like a billion accessories and be an OTT to have a good thing going, but one extra bow, earrings or a necklace or a bracelet or rings just overall makes it look a little bit more finished. So for number 5, I would then probably focus on shoes. Honestly, if I were starting from complete scratch, I would probably buy some of that like Angelus paint and then thrift for Mary Jane's and just color them myself. Shoes don't have to be expensive. The cheapest pair that I found was like $10 on Taobao, but with shipping it does end up adding up. In fact, the last haul that I did, I ended up doing like a big shoe haul, and the cost of shipping was the price of a brand new AP dress, which was fine. That was how desperate I was for like a lot of shoes. But for starting out, definitely I would try to incorporate as much like DIY as I could. And then I would probably buy shoes here and there. Though I'd probably splurge on one good pair at the start, something that matches the majority of all my dresses. My number 6 is also checking bodyline as soon as possible. It has always been very common for beginners to start out on bodyline. They have everything and the quality is really good. Is it the best? No, but it is very decent and it does the job just fine. I think their blouses are really great. I would try some of those, some shoes, some wrist cuffs. The price of their dresses have gone up over the years, but every once in a while they will have a super sale where you can find items like jumper skirts for $15 or less, which is such a deal. So I would definitely always have my eye open for that. The 7th thing that I think I would do is gather all the materials that I have to hand make as many accessories as I possibly can. I think as a gothic Lolita, you can get away with like normal gothic jewelry that you would find in addition to like maybe even punk accessories, depending on what your style is. For a classic Lolita, anything with pearls on it or anything that you can find at like a vintage store would work really well. But when it comes to Sweet Lolita, that can be a little bit more tricky because the colors and the materials are so particular. I wouldn't recommend going to like the kids section and just picking out all the fake jewelry from there because it could end up looking potentially tacky depending. So I would just Google as many Lolita accessories as I could that were sweet, since that's what I would be doing, and I would see what things I can replicate myself. And to do this, you really don't have to know too much about jewelry making. Like if you have a ring base, you can just glue something on it like that you got from the dollar store or from Daiso. You can buy earring hooks and just plain chains from Amazon and Etsy. And if you go to Etsy, they have like pastel colored chains as well. So you can get really creative with that. Of course, learning how to do some things definitely takes time. Like the first time I tried making clay anything, it was a total disaster, but I did more research and spent more money on better supplies to do what I needed to do. And yeah, it was money, but ultimately it ended up paying off in the long run. There are definitely some things that I would rather splurge on that are a lot more decorative and detailed that I can't do myself, but for simpler things like macaron rings or ice cream rings, earrings, stuff like that, I feel comfortable doing. The 8th thing that I would do is hunt on AliExpress. Now, as we know, a lot of the things on AliExpress are on Taobao as well. And if you are planning to buy a bunch of things all at once, it would probably be a lot cheaper to buy from Taobao, as in finding a shopping service to do it. But if you only need like 1 or 2 items here and there, AliExpress is fine. The items are more expensive there than on Taobao, but that's because they already put into account how much the shipping is. You will still have to pay shipping, of course, with AliExpress, but it'll be a lot smaller than if you ordered like a bunch of stuff from a Taobao shopping service. And I think items that I would personally focus on are frilly socks for sure, and definitely hair accessories like berets or veils, like whatever I could find. I've seen really cute mini crowns on there. There's just a whole bunch of stuff on there now that wasn't there like 5-6 years ago. As for the 9th thing that I would do, I think it would be, if I haven't already found wrist cuffs on like Lace Market or Mercari or Taobao, I would probably go to Etsy next, I think. Yeah, I think Etsy is a great place for wrist cuffs. You find all different colors, all different variations. And then I guess the 10th thing I would do is just try my best to be patient. I remember when I started out, it was really hard because I wanted everything. Starting out with nothing is so difficult, especially when you see so many of these favorite prints of yours that you had fallen in love with like years before. Yeah, I know that everything on my list was like, how can I rush to like build? But at the same time, I would make sure that all the resources that I'm putting in are only for a style that I know will work with me. It could be really hard to differentiate, you know, what I want versus what I need, and also what will actually work. So yeah, I think ultimately I would be picky about what I buy. I wasn't so much when I first started out, but if I had to do it differently, I would be choosy with my choices. That is everything. Again, this is not a guide, but just how I would personally do things a second time around. I don't really have much else to say, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go. Thanks so much for watching if you watched, and I will see you next time. Bye.